to scramble. He's going to be brought down. Ball on the deck. Bama's got it. Bama with a takeaway defensively. Trying to set up a double pass. They're looking deep. This one's going to be picked. Intercepted at the 5. Auburn outthinking themselves there. The quarterback draw. Has room 30, 35, 40. Foot race across midfield. Good night. Good night. Touchdown, Alabama.
It's time for Hey Coach and the Kalen DeBoer Show, live from Baumhower's Victory Grille in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, on the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Let's get out of here.
Hey Coach and the Kalen DeBoer Show are presented by Alfa Insurance. Auto, home, life, business. Alfa Insurance covers it all. AlfaInsurance.com. Also brought to you by Ford, proud partner of the Crimson Tide. Baumhower's Victory Grille. Make Baumhower's Victory Grille your big game headquarters all along. Toyota. Visit your local Toyota dealer today. Toyota, let's go places. And by Bud Light. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Now here's the voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide, Chris Stewart.
Everybody to Hey Coach, presented by Alfa Insurance. Auto, home, life, business. Alfa Insurance covers it all. AlfaInsurance.com. So glad to have you with us, with our producer, of course, engineer Tom Stipe, our social media producer Ethan Carabin, our studio engineer pushing all the buttons this evening, Ethan Sargent. And we're glad to have you with us from Baumhower's Victory Grille, as we've got a full show lined up, as we are 1 week away from having Alabama head football coach Kalen DeBoer joining us for his weekly in-season visits. Of course, next week will be the lead-up to the opener against the Florida State Seminoles. And, of course, Tide fans, do want to remind you that if you're heading to Tallahassee for the season opener against the Seminoles, be sure to stop by Madison Social, located at 705 South Woodward Avenue in Tallahassee, for the official Alabama on-location pregame party presented by Casamigos Ultra Premium Tequila. The event is 21 plus, and it starts at 10:30 Eastern time. So come watch the games, the early contest, and enjoy the best tasting and smoothest tequila while getting ready to watch the Tide roll over the Knolls. That's the official Alabama on-location pregame party presented by Casamigos Ultra Premium Tequila at Madison Social, just steps from Doak Campbell Stadium at 705 South Woodward Avenue in Tallahassee. And roll Tide. We'll be talking with Coach DeBoer next week about how things are going leading into that matchup. But as far as the camp to this point, and also some of the things that have allowed the team to be in the best shape possible getting ready for the start of the year, we'll have the Director of Sports Performance for Alabama football, Coach David Ballou, will be joining us in person in the final half hour of our program. Coming up around 6:30 tonight, Charlie Potter, who's the senior team writer for Bama Online, will give us his perspective on what's going on not only with the Crimson Tide, but college athletics as a whole, and excited about the upcoming season from a national perspective. Some games, of course, starting this weekend around the nation, but the one we care about and matters the most is one we'll preview with Charlie, talking about the Tide and the Seminoles when the senior writer for Bama Online joins us at 6:30. When we come back, though, we'll be talking Alabama women's soccer with Coach Wes Hart. The Crimson Tide, a great start to the year, 2-0 to this point thus far, and look forward to visiting with Coach Hart about his squad. That's coming up in just a few moments. J&J Apparel is your trusted source for Bama gear. New Alabama hats, T-shirts, and polos arrive daily. Visit online at jnjapparel.net or shop their retail store at 1926 University Boulevard in downtown Tuscaloosa. RTR with J&J. We'll kick things off with Wes Hart next on the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Don't stop planning for your future. Don't stop investing in your kids' education. Don't stop dreaming of that new home. And don't stop growing your business. Whatever you're passionate or dreaming about, don't stop. Because when you have a bank you can trust, you have the confidence to take on tomorrow. Speak with a Trustmark associate today for advice on achieving your goals. Trustmark. People you trust. Advice that works. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Let me tell you about this new pretzel cheddar club. Hey, I'm Carlos.
And I'm Ebony. And a little thing we love about the Chick-fil-A Pretzel Cheddar Club
is the tangy Dijon with the pretzel bun. It takes it to a whole nother level.
It goes perfectly with the chicken and the cheddar cheese and the bacon.
Man, you know how much you love bacon. And I love the different varieties. Grilled, spicy, original. It gets you nice and excited for fall.
Order the Pretzel Cheddar Club with Cherry Berry and Sprite for a limited time on the Chick-fil-A app. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Want to earn a deal on the entire Toyota lineup at the national sales event? Then do as I say. Great job. You just earned a deal. Get $500 in bonus APR cash on a new 2025 Toyota Tacoma. Offer valid through September 2nd, 2025. Offer entitles $500 bonus APR cash on the purchase of a new and untitled 2025 Toyota Tacoma vehicle. Bonus cash may be used only toward down payment or capitalized cost reduction on the new vehicle. See dealer for details.
Your moment has arrived. It's time to shed the normal day-to-day version of yourself and let your most fabulous self loose. Make your way to Wind Creek Atmore, because whatever your idea of fabulous is, this is where you'll find it. Wind Creek Atmore. It's your kind of fabulous. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Game day is about big plays and big energy. But it's also about the little things. It's about the energy of a community coming together to cheer for our heroes on the field. The tireless work that goes into every game from the front gate to the 50-yard line. And making memories that last a lifetime. Alabama Power knows that dedication makes all the difference. That's why we're here to keep you moving with reliable power and the programs that help you save. Now that's big. Alabama Power, proud sponsor of the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Baumhower's Victory Grille is your big game headquarters this fall for the 2025 football season. Baumhower's has been voted best wings in Alabama and the #1 sports-themed restaurant in the state. They're featuring their fan favorites this fall that include the Ragin' Cajun Gooey Fries, Go Fish, the Gooey Char Grilled Chicken Sandwich, and their scratch-made Cabo Wabo Tequila Margaritas. All you Bama football fans, kick your season off in legendary fashion and make Baumhower's Victory Grille your big game headquarters all season long. Not a bad way to kick off the soccer season or a soccer night as well. In fact, just I think eyesight away, I'm not going to say a kick away from the Alabama Soccer Stadium, but not too very far is where you can see the Crimson Tide in action. The 2-0 Crimson Tide and head coach Wes Hart joining us here at Baumhower's Victory Grille.
Great. Thanks so much for having me.
Always good to see you. Even better to see you when you're perfect to start the year. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Chattanooga last night, is that right? Or no, I'm going back too far. Chattanooga in the
we lost a couple days. Yeah, a few nights ago. Yeah. Chattanooga, first home game. We'd been on the road three games in a row for a couple of preseason games, and then started kicked off the season on the road at La Tech, and then first home game was against Chattanooga.
Talk about the going on the road and just that simple fact, the challenge that it brings. I'm not going to pretend to know a lot about La Tech soccer, but going on the road, you do learn a lot about your squad out of the gate, don't you?
Yeah, we do. And, we wanted to challenge ourselves to start the season, and we did that by scheduling a couple of really tough preseason games. So we went to Clemson and to Florida State, who are, both, powerhouses when it comes to soccer. So went on the road, tied a very good Clemson team 2-2, and then lost to Florida State, who are, in my opinion, are probably favorites to win the national championship. But, for us to get battle-tested, to go on the road, get pushed, get out of our comfort zone was exactly what we wanted. And, then we followed that up with another road trip to La Tech, won that game 6-2 and played pretty well. So excited about that. And then we came home and beat Chattanooga 1-0. Probably a little more sluggish than I wanted to be, but I think the road, we looked like we had some road legs, and probably the 3 bus trips, back to back probably took it out of us.
How different has it been for your program in terms of, I'm not going to say people didn't already have respect for you, but when you play in the national championship semifinals, it's very exciting. And to advance as far as your team did, first time in program history to go that deep into the year. it changes how other programs look at you and other teams look at you, doesn't it?
Oh, no question. I mean, there's certainly a lot of people have respect for Alabama now, and opponents as well as recruits. I mean, we've seen it pay dividends in the recruiting part of it, and we're crushing it, getting top recruits now.
That being said, you're not sneaking up on anybody anymore. I know
Totally.
you get a couple of years removed, but still, that hangs there for a while, and teams are making it tough, or tougher than even they would have before.
Oh, without question.
All right, so let's talk about the fact you got Michigan tomorrow at 7 o'clock tomorrow. Give us a little preview there.
Yeah, Michigan, it's a solid program. They beat us last year 1-0. We were at Michigan. We played Purdue and Michigan last year and beat Purdue, and then lost 1-0 on the road to Michigan. So, we're excited to get a little revenge against them. It should be a tough game, and we're excited to be at home again.
Wes Hart, our guest, the head coach of Alabama soccer, joining us here from Baumhower's Victory Grille. Yes, Michigan tomorrow night. Alabama, Michigan's got pretty electric ring to it, regardless of which sport, what time of the year you're talking about. And if there wasn't already going to be enough noise at the Alabama soccer stadium, you're bringing in the Vuvuzelas.
Right.
First 500 fans. If you're not familiar with a Vuvuzela, it's those soccer horns. It's just what I called them earlier. That's where a lot of people know them from.
Yeah, exactly. So if you don't like noise, if you don't like horns, you might want to stay away from this game. But hopefully it'll be a loud crowd. Unbelievable crowd in our home opener on Sunday night against Chattanooga. Wasn't sure what to expect without school being in session yet, and it being on a Sunday night. But we had a great crowd. And I'm excited to see what we look like against Michigan.
Is that one of the aspects that's been the biggest change since maybe midway point of that season I was referencing just a few minutes ago? Because I know you literally turned people away for a couple of matches that year, and you've had really consistent, strong crowds.
Yeah, we have, and I think each year since then, I think we've kind of broken attendance records and stuff. So, I think certainly the success of 2022, opened some eyes to people, and a lot more people now know that we've got a soccer program and know when our season is. And I remember when we first got to Alabama, the first couple of years, people didn't even know we had a team, and I would always get the question of when do you play, like what season are you in, and
right.
all that. But no, a lot. Fans are a lot more knowledgeable now for sure.
Is it a kind of a cool thing to literally be the first to get things going on campus?
Yeah, I do. I think that's pretty special, right? So even before football and volleyball, who are both fall sports as well as cross country, but to be able to have the the first home game of the school year, pretty cool, and a little bit of pressure as well.
I got a son who was back early and living down here before classes started, and they're looking for things to do, and certainly a chance to get together there. It's a great gathering point.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a great stadium for it as well. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk some more in depth about the team and where the program is. Coach Wes Hart joining us here from Baumhower's Victory Grille. We're brought to you in part by Hey Coach is presented in part by Alfa Insurance. And we're back with more in just a moment on the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
You can find all Crimson Tide Sports Network video content online on the CTSN YouTube page. It's the home of the live booth and courtside cams, episodes of Crimson Drive driven by NASCAR, plus replays of Crimson Tide Rewind. Our YouTube shorts will deliver thrilling Alabama radio highlights, plus interview clips from Alabama student athletes, coaches, and media members that you can't miss. Subscribe to the Crimson Tide Sports Network on YouTube for the very latest on the Crimson Tide. The Alabama Insider Podcast is the official podcast of Crimson Tide Athletics. Catch full episodes of Hey Coach and the Kalen DeBoer Show, Crimson Tide Rewind, Crimson Tide Today Daily Reports, plus full interviews from Crimson Drive driven by NASCAR. Download and subscribe to the Alabama Insider Podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, and all podcast platforms. Roll Tide with the Alabama Insider Podcast. See the call as we make the call. Watch the booth cam for each and every Alabama game. Streaming live on all CTSN social media platforms, you can get a front row seat to every touchdown and every big play reaction from Chris Stewart Tyler Watts, and the entire Alabama radio crew. Watch on YouTube, Facebook, and X at UA_CTSN.
Catch is made. Touchdown, Alabama.
Tide fans, are you ready for game day in Tuscaloosa? Don't miss the ultimate pregame experience this season at Vector Security Champions Lane. Opening 4 hours before each home game, this fan fest has everything you need to get pumped for kickoff. Located next to the Walk of Champions, you'll enjoy live music, player autographs, the best food trucks from all over Alabama, and ice-cold beer in our Legends Lounge beer garden, where there's never a cover charge. Check out championslane.com each week for the latest updates. Roll Tide!
Hey, Coach is presented by Alfa Insurance. I'm Chris Stewart, along with the head coach of the Alabama soccer team, Coach Wes Hart. Back-to-back wins to start the season. Coach had 6 different players score goals so far this year. 2 goals start to the season for Gianna Paul. I would imagine that's pretty nice to see some balance early.
Yeah, absolutely. And got a pretty dynamic attack, certainly led by Gianna Paul, but it's good that, if teams just key in on Gianna, we know we've got other players that can score goals. But it's also great to see Gianna getting 2 goals this early, back-to-back games for her, scoring goals. So she's obviously going to be important if we want to win some games.
She was on the Herman Trophy watch list, which for those like myself, before I read this, aren't familiar, that is basically the Heisman for soccer. And so she was already on that list before the season started. I would imagine that puts her near the top of that watch list, or the watch even closer list.
Absolutely,
now.
certainly doesn't hurt. So great start for her. And like I said, if she's not on a certain night, we know we've got other players that can put the ball in the back of the net.
But it's not uncommon for her to have success. 30 goals over her career so far. That's second best in the program's history. Third all-time in program history in points per game. It combines goals and assists, and so it's not somebody who's new to that type of demand of her on your squad. You need her to be heavily involved.
Yeah, for sure, and she's been doing it since her freshman year. She came in as a freshman and scored 8 goals and was SEC Freshman of the Year, and so she's been consistent. Sometimes you'll have someone have like a breakout year or something, but Gianna's been consistently doing it for the entirety of her career.
Also, Coach, I would think speaks a lot to where your program is, that when student athletes have the opportunity to transfer, we've talked about it a lot, it's kind of the Wild West to a degree in terms of transferring and going where you want. This young lady had great success early, has continued, and the fact that Alabama soccer is, again, nationally relevant, or I should say under you, really nationally relevant for the first time. It's a place she wants to be and knows that she can achieve both individual and team goals.
Yeah, no question about it. Obviously, the transfer portal's a beast now that we got to worry about, but also, pro soccer, almost like, basketball is, goes through it where, at any point, these kids could also decide to go pro. And so for her to fulfill her obligation to the university and get her degree and finish out with us is pretty awesome.
Between the opportunities professionally, both in the States and Europe overseas, how prevalent is that? How much of a concern is that for coaches like yourself all across the country that have high-level talent?
Yeah, it's real. It's real for sure. A lot of the recruits, right now we're recruiting the 2027 class, and there's schools right now that we're pretty excited about some of the kids they were speaking to, but those kids were so good that now they're losing them to the pros.
Right.
And so it's a real thing right now.
All right, let's talk about you a little bit. Hard to believe it's your 11th season now with the Crimson Tide. I remember when you came in. It's hard to believe that it's been over a decade ago now.
Totally. It's crazy. I don't know. I kind of still feel like I'm the new guy here, but I'm really not anymore.
Well, other than you've been nice to add maybe 1 or 2 at the most gray hairs in the beard. That's the only thing that keeps you looking like for maybe a student athlete yourself.
Oh my goodness! All right, well I appreciate that.
You're welcome. It is a compliment.
I don't feel as young as you say I look, but I'll take it.
I understand. Tell them don't look under the hood, man. It's a different story there for you and for your family though. Talk about what Tuscaloosa and the university have meant
Oh
to you.
man, it's such a great place to raise a family. I couldn't have made a better decision than to bring my family here and take this job. So, what an awesome community. To have my kids grow up around the university and to be involved with the athletic program and to go watch the football games and the basketball games and gymnastics and softball and tennis matches, all that, and to have them be around the soccer team, I think was massive, both for our team as well as for my kids to have those players be role models for them. And I couldn't have asked for a better situation.
Seems like this really is a place to put down roots for you.
Oh,
because
definitely.
I know you weren't from here, obviously, and didn't maybe have ties directly here before, but you really have set up shop.
No, really have. And, I've had family members. At first, they thought I was crazy for moving to Alabama, and now we've got family members that are considering moving here. And, my niece goes to University of Alabama now, so
awesome.
From Colorado. So, yeah, definitely have roots in here for sure.
It's amazing when you're not just recruiting, but you're able to tell other parents, hey, I do have family here. And I understand it's the same for me. I've got not that I'm recruiting, but I've got a daughter who's gotten her undergrad and her master's here. I've got a 20-year-old son who's a junior, and I've got a 14-year-old that all he talks about is wanting to go to school at Alabama.
Yeah.
So it's pretty special.
No, absolutely.
All right. Let's talk about something that you probably don't want to talk about. Alabama just 3 wins away from 2. I was thinking this was you alone. I'm sorry. But the program, 200 home wins. Support at these events has been really helpful, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. As I mentioned, the crowd support over these last few years, has been massive, and so such a home field advantage here. And I don't know exact stats. We'll have to ask Stephanie on this one, but we've been pretty darn stingy at home over the the past 4 or 5 years, and probably only lost maybe 2 or 3 games in the last couple of years at home.
I do want to point out for those that maybe are hearing us talk about Alabama soccer for the first time, and the 200 may not sound all that impressive to them. This is one of the newer sports on campus.
Yeah, that and the fact that we only play 18 games a year.
Absolutely.
Whereas softball or baseball, I don't even know,
Sure.
50 or 60 games or something like that. So
yeah.
We're only playing 18 games a year. So and
Fewer
nine home games a year.
Right.
Yeah.
Fewer opportunities for that to happen. Let's talk about your roster. 10 new faces this year, including 3 transfers. That's a pretty good number. I mean, it's a pretty sizable number,
lot of new faces. We were fortunate to get most of them in the spring. So we had 3 transfers enroll with us in the spring, and then we had 3 freshmen come in the spring as well. So for us to be able to get them integrated in with the group and get them training with us and playing spring games with us, paid dividends. And I think they're fitting in great.
Where was the area on the roster where you knew you're going to have to get help immediately?
Yeah, I think kind of in the back line. I knew we had talent in the back line, but just not a lot of experience. We'd graduated Jessica Skorka, who was all SEC, and Brooke Steer, who was a starting center back, dating back to the team that went to the College Cup. And so, I knew the back line, and then Atala Jameli was another senior that was in the back line. And so for us, it's like, we knew we had, some talented players there, but just not a lot of experience playing in college games.
Since you got Michigan coming up, that'll be available on the SEC Network Plus, the streaming platform, if you're not able to be there in person, but hope you can be. 7 o'clock start. Again, 500 vuvuzelas given away to the first 500 people there. But a Thursday night match, Coach, at home against Michigan. Tell us what you can about the Wolverines.
Yeah, Wolverines, it's a solid group. I think... I don't think they've got a Gianna Paul type player where you have to key on one player, but they have a lot of depth, a lot of good players in every position, and so as in a team sport, you got a good team that plays well together, and they can be a handful. So definitely have a lot of respect for them. They did beat us last year. And so we know it's going to be a tough game.
All right, and then for those that are fans in Birmingham on a Sunday afternoon, Samford will be hosting the Crimson Tide on the Sanford campus there in Homewood for a 4 o'clock start.
Yeah, Sanford's a tricky one. That's always
They're
a tough game. They are very good. So they've won a lot of conference championships. Todd Yelton, the coach there, does an amazing job. They tied Auburn, last weekend. Every year they schedule 3 or 4 SEC games, and every year they upset a team or two. So it's going to be a tough one on Sunday. No easy game following the Michigan one.
Look forward to having people in Tuscaloosa, and the matchup on Thursday night, 7 o'clock start on the pitch at the Alabama Soccer Stadium, Michigan, and then in Birmingham against Sanford on Sunday. Coach Wes Hart, always good to see you. Thanks so much for the time.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. Appreciate you.
It. Coach Wes Hart joining us here from Baumhower's Victory Grille. We're coming back with more in a moment on the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, college football fans, I know you'd do anything for a win on game day and an ice-cold Bud Light. Because whether you're tailgating in the parking lot or parked on the couch, sitting on your lucky stool at the bar, or standing in the fans section all game long, the clean, crisp taste of Bud Light turns a win into a win-win. And there's nothing easier to enjoy than that. Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Game day is about big plays and big energy, but it's also about the little things. It's about the energy of a community coming together to cheer for our heroes on the field, the tireless work that goes into every game from the front gate to the 50-yard line, and making memories that last a lifetime. Alabama Power knows that dedication makes all the difference. That's why we're here to keep you moving with reliable power and the programs that help you save. Now that's big. Alabama Power, proud sponsor of the Alabama Crimson Tide.
At Alabama, you know what it takes to be the best. You don't win it all year after year by being a copycat. You do it by setting the standard, by being the original. And that's exactly what Guthrie's is, the original. The original chicken finger restaurant that started a Golden Fried dynasty. So keep the Golden Fried game day tradition alive with a gut box loaded with chicken fingers and that signature sauce. It's a winning combination every single time. Guthrie's, the original chicken finger restaurant.
All right. It's a beautiful day for football here at the stadium, and we're just about ready for kickoff. Score 0-0. And suddenly, I'm in the mood for a Coke Zero Sugar. Real Coke taste, zero sugar. Now that's a winning combo. Yeah, crisp, refreshing. That hits the spot. When it comes to great taste, Coke Zero Sugar's always on the scoreboard. Coke Zero Sugar. Real Coke taste, zero sugar.
Want to earn a deal on the entire Toyota lineup at the National Sales Event? Then do as I say. Great job. You just earned a deal. Get $500 in bonus lease cash on a new 2025 Toyota Tacoma. Offer valid through September 2nd, 2025. Offer entitles $500 bonus lease cash on the lease of a new and untitled 2025 Toyota Tacoma vehicle. Bonus cash may be used only toward down payment or capitalized cost reduction on the new vehicle. See dealer for details.
Get game ready at Alumni Hall. It's your ultimate Crimson Tide shopping experience. Shop top brands, hats, accessories, and all your tailgating gear. Just head to Alumni Hall in Tuscaloosa or shop alumnihall.com. You earn $10 in rewards for every $150 you spend. Roll Tide and shop at Alumni Hall. The Alabama men's basketball program finalized its 2025-2026 schedule. Head coach Nate Oates announcing the non-conference slate. We're going to tip things off November 3rd. Tide facing off against North Dakota at Coleman Coliseum. The non-conference matchups include 6 home games, headlined by the marquee matchup against Purdue on November 13th. On the road, the Tide will travel to Las Vegas, New York, and Chicago within the first month of the season, taking on 3 opponents that played in the 2025 NCAA tournament, including Gonzaga, Illinois, and St. John's. Tip times and TV designations and radio start times will be released at a later date. Season tickets available online as well. You want to check those out and get your season tickets exclusively in the pre-sale access before they go on sale to the general public. All that information available to you at RollTide.com. When we return, the senior team writer for Bama Online, Charlie Potter, is our guest here at Baumhower's Victory Grill. It's Hey Coach on the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Clyde Mays Whiskey, perfected under the Alabama Pines, now a proud partner of Alabama Athletics. And in fall 2025, the legend comes home with Conecuh Ridge Distillery opening in Troy. Roll Clyde.
I like what I like, and I do what I want.
Do what you want. Be who you want. And elevate your game to fabulous at Wind Creek Atmore. Stay in our luxurious suites and rooms. Relax in the tranquil spa. Play any of our 1,700 exciting games on our spacious gaming floor. No matter what fabulous means to you, you'll find it here. Wind Creek Atmore. It's your kind of fabulous. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
CB&S Bank has a long history of stability and a legacy of serving our community's needs for generations. You could say we know a thing or two about tradition. We've been family, community, and financially strong since in 1906. Being a team player is part of our culture. That's why at CB&S Bank, we're proud to sponsor the University of Alabama Athletics and prouder to take the field or court with you. Visit cbsbank.com today. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
It's the summer sales event with the Ford Groom.
Sam, 30 seconds on the clock. The Ford Summer Sales Event.
Great time to buy.
Correct. What do we have amazing deals on this summer?
Ford trucks and SUVs.
Is Ford America's all-time best-selling auto brand?
Let me think. Yeah, it is.
3 for 3.
What do I win?
You get to work at the Ford Summer Sales Event.
Amazing. I think I was going to do that anyway.
You betcha.
Based on Automotive News Almanac historical data and industry-reported sales data from 1909 through 2024 CY.
Clyde Mays Whiskey, perfected under the Alabama Pines, now a proud partner of Alabama Athletics. And in fall 2025, the legend comes home with Conecuh Ridge Distillery opening in Troy. Roll Clyde.
Welcome back, everybody. Great to have you with us for more of Hey Coach from here at Baumhower's Victory Grill. Coming up in about 30 minutes, we'll be talking with David Ballou, Director of Sports Performance for the Alabama Crimson Tide football program, learning a lot about what goes on behind the scenes, the offseason, the lead up to fall camp, and what does Coach Ballou do now that we are into the start of camp. What does that look like for him? All things that we'll be talking about with the veteran member of the Alabama staff, Coach David Ballou, coming up in a half hour from now. As we broadcast from Baumhower's Victory Grill, we welcome in, though, our next guest, senior team writer for Bama Online. It's part of the On3 network, Charlie Potter. It's good to see you in person.
It's good to be here, man.
See the byline quite a bit, but it's good to, I guess we still call it that, don't we?
I think so.
In the industry,
yeah.
There's no print, but it's still the byline. It's still writing, and you do a great job of that with On3 and specifically Bama Online. So give me just I've asked this of the coaches. I've asked this of the players, many of them, but I'd like it from your perspective. What's different now from 12 months ago with Alabama football?
I think it's probably a lot of the same that they would say. It's familiarity. Last year was just so much new. Like, even going into fall camp, you didn't know what to expect. I think last year we went to about the first 6 practices. When Coach Saban was here, we didn't go to a lot of practices. Right. So that was quite different. Just the level of access in terms of interviews, talking to coaches, talking to players. It isn't laid back. It's more inviting, I guess it feels like. And that's not necessarily a knock on the old way. The old way worked, and it worked really damn well. We know that. But it's just it's a different vibe around the program. And for what we do, a lot of times that kind of helps us do our jobs a little bit better.
And there is more access, more time with the head coach himself. Even though Coach Saban did a lot of things media-related, there are more one-on-one opportunities, I think, with members of the staff, certainly, and even Coach DeBoer himself. I think you had the opportunity to do that. I'm not asking you to give away that type thing, but just the perspective of getting those chances, those opportunities, what it's like for a media member such as yourself.
Yeah, I mean, like going into that office up at the Malmore facility, it feels like I've been in there more in the last year and a half than the first 11 years on the beat. So 11 years also, that feels crazy to say out loud.
But I did a double take when you said
that. But no, it's been great. I think the relationship with the media from Coach DeBoer and the staff standpoint, it's been really good so far. It's been a little different this year. I think that they were way more open the first year. They wanted people to come in to learn things, to see how things were, how things were different, and be more inviting. But this year we've seen. I know Coach Ballou's going to talk about this later, but they've really kind of hunkered down and challenged these players. And I don't want to say button things up a little bit, but I think there's definitely a different level of focus. And I think that's, if you're a fan, if you're in the crowd, if you're listening, wherever, I think you got to be pretty happy about that.
It's almost like the start of a school year where everybody's trying to feel each other out initially.
Yeah.
And you kind of do that in the first year. But also, when you, especially in this day and age, with kids being able to transfer out immediately, a lot did. Different reasons, but for each of them, but a lot were able to transfer out. That made the job even more difficult. So just now, you've already referenced continuity, consistency. I think those are things that you can now go with, and I'm not making any excuses. I'm speaking reality. Year 2 is a far better gauge of what Alabama football will look like, more so than year 1, even though I think there were some real bright moments for people to be excited about going forward.
No doubt. Yeah, that continuity, I think you can look at that spring transfer portal window, and that says a lot about the direction of this football program. In this day and age of college athletics, kids can kind of pack up and leave at various points on the calendar, and no one did from a scholarship standpoint in that 10, 15 days in April. They all chose to stick around, and that's after they were challenged in January by the strength staff, by this coaching staff. They went through the fourth quarter program, all those things. They chose to stick around, and I think that says a lot. But you look at 2, they had guys that could have gone on to the next level, to the NFL, and they chose to come back. We know Jalen Milroe left. We know Tyler Booker, Jahad Campbell left. But I think they have 44 draft-eligible players on this team. So it's a veteran group. It's a group that I think is really bought in. They've accepted the challenges put forth before them. And you see the jumps that these programs have made in the past under Coach DeBoer and these other coaches. Year 2 at Fresno State was a significant jump. I know they went from the COVID year to a full season, but then year 1 to year 2 in Washington, they took a big jump. I think you should expect that jump just inherently, but the fact that they have so many guys back and so many guys bought in, I think you have to feel pretty good about it.
I am always very careful when I say this, even if I'm not doing a Crimson Tide Sports Network broadcast. When I praise and preview what we think the offense will look like under Ryan Grubb, that's in no way a knock on Nick Sheridan, because I think in a lot of ways they did a fantastic job, especially given you're on the fly. Coach Grubb was here during the spring, but wasn't here for the start of fall camp. He made the decision to stay in Seattle. There were a lot of circumstances that could have created total havoc for the offense. And I know it didn't perform at peak performance. We're expected to see more of that this year, or at closer to that this year would be maybe the better way of phrasing it. But that's not a slight of Nick Sheridan. That is praise, though, I think, for Ryan Grubb and what a year of the overall system being able to come together looks like.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Coach Sheridan and kind of what he was thrown into, he probably didn't expect to be in that position going into game number 1 last year. Look at maybe February of 2024. So I think the hand that he was dealt, he did a good job. I think some of the things they did with Jalen Milroe, leaning into his strengths, were smart. And that's something I wrote about that this morning, and I know some of the comments people kind of ran with a little bit and had their own opinions, but the obvious difference from this offense will be at the quarterback position and what they do with the quarterback, the usage of the quarterback, and it's going to be what they've done in the past. And look, Ty Simpson's a guy that can make plays with his legs. I don't think we're going to see as many designed runs from this offense. But I think with what Ryan Grubb and Kalen DeBoer have done in the past, offensively, you have to be excited about it. They've put up a lot of numbers, and now you kind of have – you still don't have Scott Huff, who's going to come in as the offensive line coach. He chose to stay in Seattle last year as well, but they kind of have everybody here, everybody on deck ready to go, and now they have a quarterback that kind of fits their offense a little bit better. I think you should expect a big jump from a passing game standpoint because you have – those wide receivers as well. There's just so many different elements that I think you have to be excited about this offense because of.
Talk to me more about Ty Simpson. I've been around him. Nothing but high praise for people that know him best.
Yeah.
But from your angle and as a neutral observer in the media, what's it been like seeing him? And obviously the on the field is what's most important.
Yeah.
But the things that come with being a quarterback, specifically the quarterback at the University of Alabama, how has he been?
Yeah, I mean, I've loved talking to Ty every time we've gotten a chance to do that, and that's mostly been like postseason media days. That's the only time the backup or the third-string guy is made available, and he's always been good with his time just from the standpoint of what I do. But you hear things and you kind of see the way that he's progressed through this offseason. He's taken on much more of a leadership role. I think that's been new for him. He feels more comfortable talking out, stepping up, speaking up, all that stuff. We heard from Caden Proctor yesterday after practice, and yesterday's practice might not have been the best of the preseason. I don't think it's one that they're going to, put on the mantle by any stretch of the imagination. But, Caden's a guy, he's stepped into a leadership role. He's been more outspoken, and he talked about how Ty Simpson got after his guys because of the effort they were putting in. I think that's encouraging to see. And then you just hear the way that he's kind of approached things on the field. He's been consistent. He's taking care of the football. He's made some explosive plays. I think this is preseason practice number 17. I don't think he's thrown an interception yet, which that's pretty impressive against the DBs that they're going against every day. But I think that he has all the makings to be a really, really good college quarterback, a really, really good SEC quarterback, and I'm excited to see what he finally gets to do with the opportunity.
We are visiting with Charlie Potter, senior team writer for Bama Online, part of the On3 network, as we continue with Hey Coach from here at Baumhower's Victory Grille. One more thing about Ty. Okay. To me, it seems that he is handling the pressure that comes with that job. I know that what matters most is what happens after the 3:30 Eastern kick in Tallahassee at Doak Campbell Stadium. But to this point, he's facing – yes, the number one defense that Alabama has to offer in most of his scrimmage situations. I'm not just talking about the weekend scrimmages, but within a practice when they go through the scrimmage, ones versus ones. He's being tested by a very, very good defense. He's also being pushed and challenged still by two very, very capable quarterbacks behind him that could be starters at a lot of other places around the country.
Yeah, I mean, Austin Mack and Keelan Russell, I don't think they've given up on this, even though Ty's been named the starting quarterback. I think those guys have to continue to push. They have to continue to compete. And I think they have. Just hearing from people from last week's scrimmage, it sounds like Austin Mack had a strong day. I think Keelan Russell did some nice things with his legs. So Keelan Russell's a guy that has all the talent in the world. And Austin Mack knows this offense. So I don't think you necessarily write them off necessarily. I do think, though, that if you go back to the mid-March or whenever it was that spring practice started, Ty's been the most consistent. I think from a leadership standpoint, he's taken that next step. And the fact that he's not only taking care of the football but made plays, I think it was a situation where they felt comfortable he can be that guy. And so I don't think it's necessarily a knock on the other two guys in that room, but I think Ty's he's been the dude from the jump, and he hasn't really let them kind of catch him.
Charlie Potter, our guest from Bama Online, continuing from Baumhower's Victory Grille. Coming up at 7 o'clock, David Ballou, Director of Sports Performance for Alabama football, will be joining us. But another segment still to come with Charlie Potter next here at Baumhower's Victory Grille. It's Hey Coach on the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Stay cool with York Ice Company, the official ice supplier of the Crimson Tide. Whether you need ice in bulk on a construction site, in your restaurant or convenience store, or just at home for your next family event or tailgate, be sure to trust the same exceptional service the Tide does with a locally owned company. York Ice has been keeping Alabama cool since 1990 and can help with your needs across the state, all from their convenient location in downtown Tuscaloosa. York Ice Company is a proud supporter of the Crimson Tide. Visit them at yorkicecompany.com for more information.
There's team pride, and then there's extra Tide pride. When I'm carrying the University of Alabama Regions Visa debit card or prepaid Regions Now card, that's exactly what I get. Whether I'm grabbing some extra Bama gear or picking up an extra dozen wings for the game, this card always brings it. Sometimes I get an extra Roll Tide from the cashier too. Visit regions.com/GoBama to get yours.
Extra changes everything. And at Regions, Extra is our ordinary. Official bank of the SEC. Member FDIC.
Hey Bama fans, each Tuesday and Thursday at 2 p.m. Central, join us live for Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. This live streaming talk show features the latest on Alabama athletics with exclusive conversations with Tide student athletes, coaches, and media members giving their perspective on the Crimson Tide. You can watch on YouTube, Facebook, and X, with all conversations archived as well on the Alabama Insider podcast. Roll Tide with Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Roll Tide fans, this is Roger Hoover. Join me and former Alabama quarterback and football radio analyst Tyler Watts each Monday night at 6 p.m. for Crimson Tide Rewind. Live from Baumhower's Victory Grille in Vestavia Hills, we'll rewind the last Bama game and look ahead to next Saturday for the Crimson Tide and the rest of the SEC. Crimson Tide Rewind each Monday at 6 p.m. all across the Crimson Tide Sports Network.
Live from Baumhower's Victory Grille in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, this is Hey Coach on the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield, presented by Alfa Insurance. Auto, home, life, business. Alfa Insurance covers it all. AlfaInsurance.com. Once again, here's Chris Stewart.
And we do welcome you back and do remind you that a week from tonight, Coach Kalen DeVore will be here. It's the first of his in-season visits with us here on Hey Coach and the Kalen DeVore Show coming up next Wednesday night. We're on the air from 6 until 7:30. Coach will be spending that last hour of the show with us, and we're looking forward to the time with him. As always, looking forward to talking in about 20 minutes or so with David Ballou, the director, actually less than 20 minutes, about 15 from now, actually. David Ballou, Director of Sports Performance for Alabama football, will be our guest. But we're wrapping up this hour with Charlie Potter, senior team writer for Bama Online, part of the On3 network. All right, talk to me about a couple of things that maybe have jumped out at you besides what we've already covered, from the quarterback position, the comfortability, the continuity now with the coaching staff, and everybody kind of taking the deep breath after a year one. Give me some things from camp that have stood out to you.
I think you have to start with the defensive backs. You kind of mentioned earlier just the way that this roster changed after Coach Saban retired. Clearly you expect that room to have some attrition because of his background with the position, but the depth there is so much better. And they didn't really add a ton. They added, I think, 3 true freshmen and then a transfer in Cam Calhoun. But getting 4 guys with starting experience back, some guys that played first team minutes for them, I think that could be a real strength of this defense. And look, Xavier Brown, Damani Jackson are going to be 2 of the best cornerbacks in the country, but a guy like Dijon Lee, a true freshman, has done some really nice things here of late. I think at safety with Bray Hubbard and Keon Sabb, you're going to be hard-pressed to find a better duo than those two. But a guy like Zay Mincy is a really strong number 3. Like, if they could get 6 defensive backs on the field and those are your 6, you're going to be hard-pressed to find a better group than that. But I think on the flip side of that, too, the wide receivers have just been, as advertised, you had 6 guys into the portal, but it's a group that made basically a complete 180 just in terms of what they can do this fall. And Ryan Williams is back, Jeremy Bernard's back. We know those guys, but adding in Isaiah Horton, the next step for a guy like Rico Scott, getting Jalen Hale and Cole Adams back from injuries, like they've got a lot of dudes.
The first few weeks, just the little bit that I have seen with my own eyes, it looks like Cole Adams is not only healthy again, but also ready to be an impact player the way he was before he got hurt last season.
Yeah, I mean, like you can make jokes about all the names that you could say for a white slot receiver like Cole Adams, but I think Jermaine Bernard said it best. Like he's a dog. Like he's a guy that can do a lot of the dirty stuff for the position, but he can make plays too, and he's also a factor in the return game. I think that's something that when you look at it as a punt returner, maybe back on kicks, we'll find out more about that as the season progresses. He's a guy that can wear a lot of hats for this team, and I think it shows last year. Maybe he was a bit of a surprise to see some early playing time, but it shows that trust that he has in the coaching staff, and that's so important for a young guy like that, and I think that's only continued to increase for Kalen DeBoer and these offensive coaches.
You've got players on the Lombardi watch list. You've got players on the Bednarik watch list. You've got Josh Cuevas on the Mackey Award watch list. You got Ty Simpson on the Golden Arm Award watch list. A lot of guys, offense and defense, on the preseason watch list. I have not mentioned, because I haven't seen any yet, special teams, and let's be honest, that's a place that has been very, very good, very, very solid for the last several years. Not that it can't be this year, but there's not as much certainty about it coming into this year as there has been in past seasons.
Yeah, I guess before getting into the negative, like you talk about all those watch lists, and there's an Alabama player on every one of them.
Sure.
There's no defensive back on the Thorpe watch list, which is just insane. Like, 'cause you can just throw a name on those, and there's none on there. I wanted to say that still bothers me a little bit. Yeah. Putting all these stories together, and you get one ready for the Thorpe for maybe Damani Jackson or Bray Hubbard, Keon Sabb, and it's just like, nah, we're good. So that one's absurd, but it isn't surprising that you don't have anybody on the Ray Guy or the Luke Rosa Award, because you lose James Burnip at punter, you lose Graham Nicholson at place kicker, and I think that those are losing 3 seniors at punter, kicker, and long snapper. That's tough
big loss too.
To replace. They did add David Bird from Cal, and he's a guy that has some Power 4 experience. I think they feel pretty good about him. But punter's been Blake Dowd, the transfer from Colorado School of Mines, and then true freshman Alex Asparuhoff. I'd probably give the edge to the transfer right now because he's experienced, and Asparuhoff is coming off of an injury. But yeah, place kicker, TBD. I think Connor Talty's done a solid job. I think he had some misses in this second scrimmage, which you don't want to hear this close to the start of the season. But he's been pretty solid for the most part leading up to this. But they have some walk-ons that maybe can push and compete. But yeah, that's going to be a spot where I don't necessarily want to call it a weakness, because that's not fair before the season even kicks off.
Right.
But some uncertainty and a big question mark.
Charlie, can't thank you enough for the time, for the insight. Appreciate you. And again, tell people where they can find out more from you as the senior team writer for Bama Online, part of that On3 network.
Yeah, just over at BamaOnline.com. Myself, Blake Byler, Tim Watts, Andrew Bone, we cover it all. And I share everything on social media at Charlie_Potter. That's my stuff, their stuff, everyone else's stuff. So pretty active there.
Awesome. Can't thank you enough. Appreciate your time. Charlie Potter, again, from Bama Online, part of that On3 network, joining us here at Baumhower's Victory Grille. As we continue on with Hey Coach, we will have a coach for football. David Ballou, Director of Sports Performance, with us next here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
This is Jack's country, and on game day, nobody shows up empty-handed. Make a winning play with Jack's Catering. Hand-breaded chicken fingers, crispy fried chicken, scratch-made biscuits, and all the southern sides your crew craves. Whether it's a game watch or a family get-together, Jack's brings the flavor that scores every time. Order now at eatatjacks.com or on the Jack's app. Jack's, all about the South. Nobody beats Cook's Pest Control when it comes to superior protection against unwanted pests and termites. Cook's knowledgeable and courteous technicians are expertly trained to get the job done right, guaranteed. Protect your home and business with pest control you can trust. Call Cook's today for your free quote or to schedule your free on-site inspection.
Looky, 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 here comes Cookie, Cook's Pest Control.
There's There's team pride, and then there's extra Tide pride. When I'm carrying the University of Alabama Regions Visa debit card or prepaid Regions Now card, that's exactly what I get. Whether I'm grabbing some extra Bama gear or picking up an extra dozen wings for the game, this card always brings it. Sometimes I get an extra Roll Tide from the cashier too. Visit regions.com/GoBama to get yours.
Extra changes everything. And at Regions, Extra is our ordinary. Official bank of the SEC. Member FDIC.
Hey, Crimson Tide, when you bring Hellman's creamy buffalo chicken dip to the watch party, you can be a couch coach, cheer too loud, or worse, bring a friend who knows nothing about football.
How do they get the yellow line to move on the field?
Because when you do dip with Hellman's, you can do no wrong. That's a Hail Mayo. Hellman's, the official mayonnaise of Alabama athletics. Bring out the best.
Welcome back to Hey Coach. It's presented by Alfa Insurance. Auto, home, life, business. Alfa Insurance covers it all. AlfaInsurance.com. We are pleased to welcome to the show the Director of Sports Performance for Alabama football, Coach David Ballou. Good to see you, sir. Thanks for the time.
Good to see you, buddy.
Appreciate you so much. You guys, I know, have been at it for a long time. It's down to within a week and a half of the first game. Everybody's excited about that. But I'd like to talk to you for a little bit about the work that goes in and what specifically goes in for these guys to get them ready. Well, not really just for now, but what got them ready for when the whistle blew for the first true team practice of the year. And I guess let's talk about your relationship with Coach DeBoer as well. And that one goes back a little bit.
Yeah, we can start with that one. In really 2019, I was in Indiana, and we were hiring an offensive coordinator, and I was in the, part of the process of hiring a new OC and, talking to a handful of guys. And, Kalen was one of them. And when you come in, had a good talk and spent a whole day at the complex. And, me and him, for some reason, spent a lot of time together that day. And I remember when he left, I went to the head coach timeout and I said, we got to find a way to get this guy, because there's some guys in this business, you go and you talk to the guys and you have conversations, and there's immediately you just get a feeling. When you're around this business long enough, people know what I'm talking about. And you knew immediately this guy, he was smart, articulate, knew exactly what he wanted, who he was, and just listening about his philosophy on offense and how he attacks defenses and that kind of thing. And I knew immediately that was our guy, and obviously ended up taking a job, and we coached together in 2019. And, at that time, we went to a January 1 Bowl. It was the first time in 30 years that Indiana had gone to a January 1 Bowl at that point. And, ironically enough, he left. He got a chance to go be the head coach at Fresno right after that, which was not a surprise. And then I left to come here right after that. So we stayed in touch. We stayed in touch all the time after that, and it's just – it's a crazy world how this business works. And, when transition happened, we kind of got a heads up of what might happen, and I was all for it, obviously.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. I think I know the answer to this, and you've really kind of alluded to it already. It wasn't a shock when you heard the name called from media reports, but I've got to think that excited you a good bit, even though certainly no guarantees of how things will work out. But that was something you knew the program was going to be in good shape regardless of who was here with it.
Yeah, it's obviously talking to our administration and the decision makers, I was very confident in him, and my feedback to them was, yes, sir, let's go, So not that they needed my assurance, but, obviously I felt really good about it.
Give us the things besides the obvious, the wins and all of that. What are those things that led you to believe that it's somebody you wanted to work for again or work for, but also want to stay and be a part of continuing what we've enjoyed at the University of Alabama as fans?
No, I think what I said earlier, just a super intelligent guy who had a plan and he's humble. And he's one of those guys you're around, you just want to help him. You want him to be successful. You want to, and my job's unique because we work hand in hand. We communicate all the time, and it has to be like that because there's times in the off season where I'm kind of running the team and they're not in the building.
Right.
So there's a lot of times you're either an enforcer, and I have no problem doing that. And, so you want to carry out his message and make sure that's getting, infiltrated throughout the building and the staff. And, there's a lot of communication goes back and forth. Definitely have to be on the same page. And when he's a great big picture thinker and always pushing to find ways for us to get better, which I enjoy.
I want to be real clear. I'm not asking for comparisons. I'm not asking better, worse, either way. I'm just asking from your aspect and what you're asked to do. Is it dramatically different now from what was asked of you under Coach Saban?
Yeah, there's always differences, personalities, and those kinds of things. And I think there's things that fall on your desk that, maybe didn't before. Yeah, there's things that come up, but there's been a lot of positives to it, and there's things that I'm naturally that are in my wheelhouse and I enjoy doing, and I enjoy being a part of. So yeah, there's some things that have changed, but it's been for the positive for sure.
Fantastic. Let's tell you what. Let's do this first. Let's pause 10 seconds so our local stations can identify themselves to you. Welcome to the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Visit with Coach David Ballou, Director of Sports Performance for Alabama football. Coach, really from the time 2024 ended, what's been your message to the guys that were returning?
Yeah, that's a great question because it's been an intense offseason. There's been a lot to it. And, some things we'll keep inside the building, but there was an immediate team meeting right after we got home, and we started. I think it ended up being January 14th or 13th, somewhere around there, and we had a team meeting and. Obviously Coach was able to speak what he wanted to speak, and I was able to get in front of the team, and we had a very emphatic and direct message to our guys that what just happened wasn't good enough. There were some things that were addressed, and there was some accountability, and there was almost don't want to say a line drawn in the sand, but there was, we got put in a situation that was no one's fault in the transition from the year before. There were the rules in college football where you had to guard the door and hopefully guys weren't going to bounce out. The way we were put in a position of, you had to almost be in a position of this is why you need to stay here and be in that mode. And honestly, that mode kind of lasted for a while. And it's the nature of college football nowadays. Sure. But we finished that season. That was over. And we're done with that. And it was very, to be very honest, it was this is how we're going to do things. You don't want to be here to leave. Right. And it was said in that way, in that tone, and it was carried out on a day-to-day basis and has been up until we sit here right now. We were fortunate enough. The guys have done a great job. They've put their best foot forward and really tried to compete and hold each other accountable. We didn't have anybody going to portal in the spring. We added some, new guys in the summer, and it's been the same chemistry since then. But it's been tough. We've tried to challenge them. We've tried to put them in uncomfortable situations. We tried to give them conflict, and we tried our best to put pressure on them on a day-to-day basis because that's what this place is, and that's what they're going to see here when we get started here very soon. So you try to get them prepared for that, and you just try to make sure that in the end that they've been battle-tested the best you can, and that's the best way for me to describe what we went through. And it was hard. It was really hard, and there was a lot of lively conversations that happened and a lot of confrontations that happened. But in those, a lot of positivity came out of it. I think a lot of growth came out of it. I think the ways those conversations were taken on by the players was a positive. And I think accountability is what the one word when you were talking, as we entered the offseason, I think accountability was the number one emphasis, and I think still is today, and it's going to be important as it is the rest of the season, and overriding, keeping some of the things we talked about in-house, but overriding was, I don't want to hear you, I want to see it, and it's not what you say, it's what you do, and we still literally, before practice today, we're saying the same thing, and that's what it's going to be. Your actions are going to be what helps us get it where we need to be. It's not going to be what you say and what you can jump up and down and holler and all that. That ain't it. social media. None of that's it. It's what you actually do, get on the field and do, and what you do on a daily basis at practice. That's what's going to tell me. So that's kind of been the message.
Coach David Ballou, our guest here on Hey Coach, presented by Alfa Insurance, and also brought to us in part by Alabama 811. To help prevent injuries, outages, and loss of life, call 811 or visit al811.com before you dig. It's free, it's simple, and it's the law. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
At Alfa Insurance, our goal is to be your MVP, providing you with the most valuable protection. That means saving you money on home, car, and life insurance, and providing championship service from a helpful hometown team. Call Alfa for your insurance needs today, and let us show you why we consistently rank among the top insurance companies in the Southeast for customer satisfaction.
Hey, Crimson Tide, when you bring Hellman's creamy buffalo chicken dip to the watch party, you can be a couch coach, cheer too loud, or worse, bring a friend who knows nothing about football.
How do they get the yellow line to move on the field?
Because when you do dip with Hellman's, you can do no wrong. That's a Hail Mayo. Hellman's, the official mayonnaise of Alabama athletics. Bring out the best.
Don't stop planning for your future. Don't stop investing in your kids' education. Don't stop dreaming of that new home. And don't stop growing your business. Whatever you're passionate or dreaming about, don't stop. Because when you have a bank you can trust, you have the confidence to take on tomorrow. Speak with a Trustmark associate today for advice on achieving your goals. Trustmark. People you trust. Advice that works. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Nobody beats Cook's Pest Control when it comes to superior protection against unwanted pests and termites. Cook's knowledgeable and courteous technicians are expertly trained to get the job done right, guaranteed. Protect your home and business with pest control you can trust. Call Cook's today for your free quote or to schedule your free on-site inspection.
Looky, 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 here comes Cookie, Cook's Pest Control.
This segment of Hey Coach is brought to you by Coca-Cola. Passionate fans and an ice-cold Coca-Cola, that's a winning combo. Fan work is thirsty work. Enjoy a Coca-Cola. Chris Stewart and Coach David Ballou with you here on Hey Coach. Next week, Coach Kalen DeBoer will be joining us here at Baumhower's Victory Grille. This week, Coach Ballou, the Director of Sports Performance for Bama Football, kind enough to spend some time with us again, talking about work that the guys put in over the spring. What'd you see spring and summer that's got them prepared for fall camp, and what lies ahead, Coach?
Yeah, this is, it sounds cliche, but it's a ton of hard work. I mean, I don't know that people understand that, Monday through Friday, throughout the whole off season, spring and the summer, these guys are working, and it's every day. And then, as I said earlier, you're trying to put them in conflict. You try to put them in tough situations to build up tissue resilience and almost callous the body to get ready for the season, because that's what you're doing, especially in the summer. You're trying to callous the body to get ready for training camp, and then training camp, from a football perspective, football-specific perspective, gets them ready to handle the first part of the season. Then as you go through the first part of the season and you're playing those games and you're practicing, that gets you ready to handle the middle point and then the end. Then the whole time, obviously, we're lifting and we're training still during an in-season model, which is important to what we do, because you always want to be peaking when it matters in November and December when the championship games start. And that's really always been our goal here. And that's why we're meticulous about tracking data, using sports science and analytics to dive into that stuff, and we track it. And that's the goal, to make sure you're peaking when it matters. But all of it builds up onto itself, and it's all about tissue resilience, callus in the body, and being able to, take on the, football's a contact sport. It is what it is, and it's a tough sport. So you're trying to get the body ready to be able to absorb that and to be able to absorb it daily, day after day after day, and not be, a shock to the body where it becomes a problem.
Talk to me about how closely you and Jeff Allen work in those two sides. A lot of people not understanding think it's the same thing, and this is what you do. Truly is a science, Coach, and no knock on what's been done historically with strength and conditioning, but there's far more to it than just weightlifting.
There's no question. There's a ton to it, and there's a lot of, like, we're very fortunate here, and our administration's, supported us and kind of reached out, and we've got a lot of technology, all you got to do is look at our weight room, and everybody in the country is kind of envious of the things that we have in there and the technology that we have, because it just allows you to dive into the players and individualized training, because every player has weaknesses, flaws, limitations, issues physically that need to be addressed in training. All of them have them. Every single, the best of the best have had them. Najee Harris had them, Devontae Smith had them, Jalen Waddle had them. They all have them. So it's our job to go find out what they are and ultimately go to help fix them and try to get in front of them, because there are indicators through data that bad things are coming. And sure. This is football. You are not going to prevent every injury. Anybody that tells you they can prevent every injury in football is lying to your face. They can't. Okay, but what you can do is minimize it, and you can minimize the severity, and you can try to, minimize the frequency of it. And that's what we try to do. That's the fight every day. And as you said, Jeff Allen is a huge part of that. And our staffs work side by side. Every second of the day, there's a communication going on between our staffs, and it's really, in our world, it's called a high-performance model, where you got strength and conditioning, the sports medicine, and the nutrition all working together. And if those three heads don't work together, you're not going to be able to give the player the best product to maximize whatever they have from the genetic potential perspective. Because if you have a hole in any one of those three departments, it's going to affect the player, and ultimately it will affect health and it will affect performance. So we're lucky at this place. We're looked at as one of the models in the way we operate. But it's having no ego, being open-minded, continuously wanting to learn, and leaning on the really good personnel that we have in the building, which we do. We have a very good. Our strength staff is as good as anybody you're going to find in football, not college football, in football. There's a reason everybody comes to try to hire our guys every year. And I know Jeff feels the same way. So we're fortunate and be able to lean on those guys, and because there's 120 players. You got to have a lot of people. It's not as easy as one guy oversee everything. There's so many moving parts to it, but you got to be organized. You got to be a good communicator, and you got to be able to relate to the players and make them understand the why. That's the important part. They want to know the why, and that's where data helps you. And they like that. Our players love it. They believe in it. That's why they've really bought into what we do in that room, and it's a big part of what we do. But yeah, the relationship with Jeff it's a big deal, and you'd be surprised at how many places across the country or places of football in general that's not always the case. Right. And it's a huge problem for the program if it's not.
I understand that guys have to do the work in the weight room if they're going to be as good as they can possibly be on the field. Tell us how that truly translates, though, the work you put in the weight room. And give me a few guys that really stand out to you from the work they've put in there.
Yeah, I think it's all transfer of training. It's what we talk about all the time, transfer of training, because you're right. If it doesn't transfer to football, okay, then it doesn't matter. And what we always tell them, if it doesn't transfer to football, we don't do it. But if it does transfer to football, and if it does transfer physiologically, address weaknesses, flaws, limitations they have, we do it hard, really hard. And we attack it. And so it's the joint angle, the joint specificity, the nervous system. It's all those things that will show up on the field when it matters. But then you go back to specific players. There's so many of them. There's so many guys on the roster. Like in practice today, I'm watching like Jordan Renaud, James Smith. Some of our guys up front just today that stuck out to me. And you think there's some of our DBs like Bray Hubbard who just flies around. And all these guys were just phenomenal in the offseason. We had so many guys work hard. The offensive line up front, the Parker who's perfect every day and his work ethic and being just a great teammate and working his ball. But you see it translate to Phil. Proctor's done a really good job. The rest of those guys like Dewberry and the rest of those guys that's feeding off on them. And even the young kids like our whiteout group, the whole room's just relentless competitors and hard workers. The same with the DBs. There's so many guys I could go through, but when you said that, those couple guys that stood out, and that's probably more so from recent just being at practice today and kind of watching.
Is there a theme or a trend that you notice with this group?
There's no doubt about that, and toughness has been talked about a long time. From January 14th, toughness has been, we've leaned into it. And I told you, we put them in conflict, and there was things talked about while they're in conflict of things you got to push through and grind through, But I do think accountability is that one thing you lean on, and there's been a lot of it between player and player, coach and player, and it's important. It's got to be both. It can't just be the coach doing it. It's got to be player to player, and that's why you hear Coach DeBoer all the time talk about player-led teams, and that's what he's talking about, being able to police himself without the coach having to do it. It's nice in the weight room when I'm about to go say something and one of our leaders steps in front of me and says it before I can even get out of my mouth. So that's good news, and that happened a lot.
All right, talking with Coach David Ballou. We've got one more segment with him when we come back. Stay with us. We're returning for Hey Coach on the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Clyde Mays Whiskey, perfected under the Alabama Pines, now a proud partner of Alabama Athletics. And in fall 2025, the legend comes home with Conecuh Ridge Distillery opening in Troy. Roll Clyde.
Stay cool with York Ice Company, the official ice supplier of the Crimson Tide. Whether you need ice in bulk on a construction site, in your restaurant or convenience store, or just at home for your next family event or tailgate, be sure to trust the same exceptional service the Tide does with a locally owned company. York Ice has been keeping Alabama cool since 1990 and can help with your needs across the state, all from their convenient location in downtown Tuscaloosa. York Ice Company is a proud supporter of the Crimson Tide. Visit them at yorkicecompany.com for more information.
At Alabama, you know what it takes to be the best. You don't win it all year after year by being a copycat. You do it by setting the standard, by being the original. And that's exactly what Guthrie's is, the original. The original chicken finger restaurant that started a Golden Fried dynasty. So keep the Golden Fried game day tradition alive with a gut box loaded with chicken fingers and that signature sauce. It's a winning combination every single time. Guthrie's, the original chicken finger restaurant.
You know that feeling when you're doing what you love? You're in the zone, truly and fully alive, lost in thought. You know what you're not thinking about? Insurance. That's where Alfa comes in. Alfa handles all things insurance, so you're free to do anything. So get out there and live your best life. Whatever your thing is, we've got you covered. That's life with Alfa Insurance. Visit alfainsurance.com to learn more.
Clyde Mays Whiskey, perfected under the Alabama Pines, now a proud partner of Alabama Athletics. And in fall 2025, the legend comes home with Conecuh Ridge Distillery opening in Troy. Roll Clyde.
Hey Coach is presented by Alfa Insurance. Auto, home, life, business. Alfa Insurance covers it all. AlfaInsurance.com. Last couple of moments with David Ballou, kind enough to join us, the Director of Sports Performance for Alabama football. Coach Ballou, when you are away from the game, what are you doing? Well, besides lifting weights yourself, obviously.
I was about to say, I'm a little weird in that I do love training myself and to kind of help keep me mentally right. But when I'm not in the rare times we do have free time, we're definitely like the number one thing. You know, my wife's over here, Leah, and my daughter Aubrey's over here. But one thing we'll definitely do is we'll go find a beach somewhere. We're all beach people. I can be on the beach all day long. But we do live on the lake, so anytime we get a chance to hop on a boat and be on the lake, that's definitely what we're doing. And so I like water. I like sun. Yeah, so that's me.
It's another part of the luxury of being in Tuscaloosa. I mean, you're 3-4 hour drive. You know where you're going to get to that.
No doubt. It's nice and easy. You can jump in the car and you're there.
Yeah.
But like I said, our schedule's so crazy. Sometimes you might only get 2-day pocket where you got to hurry up and get down there and then get back. But, yeah, definitely we're on the water somewhere.
Talked with Wes Hart earlier. 11 years now for him as the soccer coach at Alabama, and a guy that hadn't lived here, but decided, you know what, this is home and it's a great place to be. Obviously, it's the nature of coaching and your aspect within a coaching staff, very unique. But tell us why this has been a fit for you besides the football part of it.
Yeah, I think it's a great place to live. It's a great place to raise a family. I know my wife and daughters love it here. You know, there's been things, you know, our business is so crazy. There's been things that come up and they were like, we're not leaving. So
yeah,
I think that part of it is certainly nice, but it's the university and the expectations on a day-to-day basis. Like it's like, why would you not want to go work somewhere that winning is the expectation? Like, why would you want to go anywhere else? And that's what I love, and I embrace it. Very driven in that way, you know, and honestly, it's our players. You know, I come in here and our players. You watch our players work, and I'll sit back sometime in the way and just watch them work and the intent and the intensity. And it's like you feed off of it. It helps you. They don't know it, but it helps me as much as it helps them. So that part of it just makes it great, and it's obviously makes it fun to come into work every day. And you get a chance. You just get the chance to work around a bunch of good people, really, in the whole building and our players. That's the best part.
I got a minute with you left. Talk to me about what your role is as we get into the start of game week. It's not like your job ends. I know that.
Yeah.
But give us a little detail on what that's like.
Yeah, it's definitely, there's a lot to it. And there's, we're tracking data from practice, workloads, speeds, accelerations, total yardage, because you're trying to make sure, as I said earlier, guys are fresh when it matters. So there's some individual case-by-case basis. You may tell when you need to pull back on yardage on one guy, or you might need to go add yardage on one guy, or may need extra conditioning on a certain guy. So we're tracking GPS things on a day-to-day basis in practice. That's a big deal. We're still lifting. We're still training. We're still in the weight room. We're still looking at data from that perspective, power data, to see from a readiness perspective where our guys are. And there's a science part, and there's an art to that, too, to make sure you're peaking when it matters. So you still have the same responsibilities from the job. It does twist a little bit where you get in a little bit more of the GPS world where you're looking at the data from practices and games and trying to make little adjustments along the way in those realms. But it's still, and then there's, the day-to-day conversations you have with the players. There's ups, there's downs, there's tough times, and you got to help them through that. There's so many hats you wear in this position, in this job, but that's a part of it. You get a unique relationship with the player having my job, and in a lot of ways you see them in hard times, you see them in good times, and you see them in times where they need some advice and they need to be led, and it leads to a pretty cool relationship.
Coach, you're very generous with your time. Thanks so much for doing this, especially again as you're in the thick of things. It's nice of you to take the time. We appreciate it so much, and the job you do, obviously.
Thanks,
with
I
the
appreciate
Crimson
it.
Tide. Coach David Ballou, Director of Sports Performance for Alabama football, kind enough to join us here at Baumhower's Victory Grill. We'll come back and wrap things up on Hey Coach in a moment on the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
This season, don't let your home comfort fumble. Brown Cooling, Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical is a proud partner of Alabama football and has been delivering the highest standards in home comfort across Birmingham for over 60 years. If you're looking for a great team and elite service from a quality company that cares, you can't miss with Brown in Birmingham. Score big this fall with Brown Cooling, Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical. Visit brownheatingandcooling.com/specials to save on your next service. Roll Tide.
Hey, college football fans, I know you'd do anything for a win on game day and an ice-cold Bud Light. Because whether you're tailgating in the parking lot or parked on the couch, sitting on your lucky stool at the bar, or standing in the fan section all game long, the clean, crisp taste of Bud Light turns a win into a win-win. And there's nothing easier to enjoy than that. Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
This is Jack's country, and on game day, nobody shows up empty-handed. Make a winning play with Jack's Catering. Hand-breaded chicken fingers, crispy fried chicken, scratch-made biscuits, and all the southern sides your crew craves. Whether it's a game watch or a family get-together, Jack's brings the flavor that scores every time. Order now at eatatjacks.com or on the Jack's app. Jack's, all about the South.
It's the summer sales event with the Ford Groom.
Sam, 30 seconds on the clock. The Ford Summer Sales Event.
Great time to buy.
Correct. What do we have amazing deals on this summer?
Ford trucks and SUVs.
Is Ford America's all-time best-selling auto brand?
Let me think. Yeah, it is.
3 for 3.
What do I win?
You get to work at the Ford Summer Sales Event.
Amazing. I think I was going to do that anyway.
You betcha.
Based on Automotive News Almanac historical data and industry-reported sales data from 1909 through 2024 CY. It's the summer sales event with the Ford Groom.
Sam, 30 seconds on the clock. The Ford Summer Sales Event.
Great time to buy.
Correct. What do we have amazing deals on this summer?
Ford trucks and SUVs.
Is Ford America's all-time best-selling auto brand?
Let me think. Yeah, it is.
3 for 3.
What do I win?
You get to work at the Ford Summer Sales Event.
Amazing. I think I was going to do that anyway.
You betcha.
Based on Automotive News Almanac historical data and industry-reported sales data from 1909 through 2024 CY.
This season, don't let your home comfort fumble. Brown Cooling, Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical is a proud partner of Alabama football and has been delivering the highest standards in home comfort across Birmingham for over 60 years. If you're looking for a great team and elite service from a quality company that cares, you can't miss with Brown in Birmingham. Score big this fall with Brown Cooling, Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical. Visit brownheatingandcooling.com/specials to save on your next service. Roll Tide.
Chris Stewart back with you here at Baumhower's Victory Grille in Tuscaloosa, putting the cap on another show, our second of the year, and appreciate our guests who have joined us tonight on the program. We talked things over with Wes Hart, the head coach of Alabama soccer, right at the start of the show. Then we got a chance to visit a half hour with Charlie Potter, senior writer for Bama Online, part of the On3 network, kind enough to share some of his insights, and then really enjoyed the last half hour as well with David Ballou, who's Alabama football's director of sports performance. Did that in the last few years of Coach Saban's tenure at the University of Alabama, and thankfully the past relationship with Coach Kalen DeBoer made it a smooth transition for him to maintain that role under the new staff for the Crimson Tide as well, and really love some of the insight that he was able to share with us. We do appreciate his time so very much. We look now at what's on tap next for Bama that Crimson Tide fans can look forward to. It's presented by Coors Light. Crimson Tide fans choose to chill with an ice-cold Coors Light. Next up for Bama soccer is a matchup tomorrow night. The Tide will play host to Michigan. It'll be televised by the SEC Network Plus, so streamed would be the more accurate term, that you can follow Bama soccer if you're not able to get to the Alabama Soccer Stadium to see Coach Wes Hart's team in action. 2-0 to start the year. They're taking on Michigan. So the Tide and the Wolverines in a matchup. That's tomorrow night at 7. And then for you Bama fans that are in Birmingham, if you've never seen a soccer match here in Tuscaloosa, well, if you're in Birmingham, you got one locally there. The Tide will be taking on a very good Samford program there in Homewood on the Samford University campus. They're a program that's already got a tie against an SEC program in Auburn and has had success with their program nationally over the last few years. So Bama and Samford meeting up in Homewood on Sunday. That's a 4 o'clock start to that matchup for the Crimson Tide. And, of course, we've got football coming up in a week and a half. Saturday, August 30th, Tallahassee, the Crimson Tide taking on the Florida State Seminoles. Mike Norvell's squad hosting Coach Kalen DeBoer's Crimson Tide, as we'll get things going on the network starting at 11:30 a.m. Central. Kickoff time, 2:30 Central, 3:30 Eastern there in Tallahassee. But looking forward to being on the air and looking forward to looking sharp thanks to Christopher Mobley, the preferred luxury clothing provider of the Crimson Tide Sports Network. We look forward to being decked out in the Christopher Mobley Tide gear and short sleeves. Definitely on the shirts, and maybe dusted off the short breeches as well. That is a big thank you to Christopher Mobley, but also to Jim Carabin for that opportunity for the opening game, where it may be 1,000 degrees at Doak Campbell Stadium on Saturday, August the 30th. Hey, if you missed any portion of tonight's show, you can always catch it on demand on our Alabama Insider podcast. Download and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. The Vice President, General Manager of the Crimson Tide Sports Network is Jim Carabin. Our studio engineer tonight has been Ethan Sargent. Tom Stipes, our producer engineer. Ethan Carabin, our social media producer. For all of those gentlemen and our coaches who joined us, I'm Chris Stewart. We appreciate you spending time with us. Roll Tide and good night from Baumhower's Victory Grille.